Hi, welcome back to part 3 of this tutorial where we are configuring a lamp stack on Oracle's VirtualBox. We have Ubuntu 16.04 running Apache 2 in our hypervisor, and now we will set up our server for developing in PHP 7 and MySQL. I'm logged into the server remotely over SSH from my terminal screen. If you're on a Windows machine, there are instructions in part 1 on connecting remotely from a PC using the PuTTY application. Either way, once the command screen is displayed, I want you to change directory to /var/www/html to follow along with me. Now let's take a look at our PHP components and settings by creating a quick PHP info page at the root of our website. In the HTML directory, type nano space info.php. Type in > PHP space PHP info, open and close parentheses, semicolon. To save this, press Ctrl X, Y to confirm, and enter. Now open up your browser and request the URL techbox.dev:8080/info.php. You should see this page. There's a large amount of information provided about your PHP environment. Version, options and extensions, the operating system, and server information, and just about everything you can configure for the PHP environment. Very often I use Ctrl F in the browser to search for specific information on this page. Sometimes when developing PHP scripts, you may want to get more detailed information when an error occurs. The default error handling in PHP is very basic, so now I will show you how to improve error reporting. To demonstrate this, I'll start by creating a PHP page. Type in nano space errors.php. Copy my PHP file as you see it here. It will trigger 3 different levels of errors. The first error is a runtime notice indicating that a script encountered something that could possibly be an error, for instance, an undefined array. The second error is a non-fatal runtime warning where parameters are missing from the command fopen. And the third error occurs when the function fail doesn't exist, which is a fatal runtime error that can't be recovered from. Ctrl X to save, Y to confirm, and enter. Here is the list of files that we have in the HTML directory. When I call the errors.php script in the browser, the page doesn't provide any useful information on what caused the errors. So here's what we're going to do to change error reporting. Change directory to /etc/php. In PHP version 7, configuration files are in the 7.0 subdirectory. So change directory to 7.0 and list out the contents of mods-available directory. Another way to list the PHP configuration files is to use the PHP command with option --ini. To change PHP runtime settings for reporting, I'm going to create a configuration file called Custom.ini in the mods-available directory. Type sudo edit to open the editor with elevated privileges. And just copy these PHP settings from the comments for this video below. Make sure display_errors is on, which will be useful for development, but not recommended for a production environment. Ctrl X to save, Y to confirm, and enter. To enable custom configurations, the following command will include a symbolic link to it in the Apache 2 configuration directory. So type sudo space ln space -s space /etc/php /7.0 /mods-available /custom.ini space. slash Etsy slash PHP slash 7.0 slash Apache 2 slash conf.d slash 20 dash Custom.ini. The conf.d directory is where user-created configuration can be stored and where we want our Custom.ini settings to be included. To check for the symbolic link in conf.d directory, type ls space -la space Apache 2 slash conf.d space pipe space grep space custom. The first character of the file listing identifies the file type, which is the letter L, and that stands for a symbolic link, so we're good here. Another tool for troubleshooting in development is to check our errors in an error log file. System log files are always located under the /var/log directory. In our custom.ini file that we just created, we specified php_error.log for logging PHP errors. So we need to create this log file now and give it the proper permissions. Type sudo space touch space /var/log /php_errors.log. Next, type sudo space chown space .webmasters space /var/log /php_errors.log. Now when I list out the log directory, I can see our new log file. That's all we need to do for error reporting, which I will demonstrate in a moment. But before we restart the Apache service again, there are some PHP extensions that I recommend we install. The MB string extension will help with character encoding when manipulating strings. So now type in sudo space apt-get space install space php-mb string space php 7.0-mb string space php-gettext space libapache2-mod-php 7.0 space libapache2-mod-php. Type yes to continue if you get a warning message on additional disk space used. mbstring is a non-default PHP extension. This means that it's not enabled by default. So type in sudo space php nmod space mbstring. Next, type sudo space apt-get install space php-mcrypt space php-mysql. Mcrypt for support for encryption algorithms, and PHP MySQL so that PHP code can run under the Apache server and talk to MySQL database. For a full list of compiled PHP modules, type php space -m. Look down the list for MyCrypt. If you don't see it, you can enable the MyCrypt extension with sudo space php nmod space MyCrypt. Run php space -r space open quotes php info open close parenthesis semicolon close quote and check for the output for MySQL references. And you should see something like this. Now that we've done all the PHP configurations, we can restart the Apache service. Type sudo space service space Apache 2 space restart. To demonstrate our error reporting is working as we would like, I will return to our errors page in the browser, call refresh on it. This time I can see it's showing me some additional information about how errors occurred, which will save time when debugging your PHP scripts. There's also a new log file that I want to check is working. When I type in tail space /var/log /php_errors.log, I should see the most recent entries to the file, but nothing is outputted. My mistake here is not setting the correct read-write permissions on the php_errors.log file. So I need to type sudo space chmod space 664 space /var/log/php_errors.log to grant read-write for the webmasters group. Now, when I refresh the browser, the errors are also reported in the log file. So this is what it looks like now. The log file lists the script errors and tells me the line number in the script for each of the errors thrown. I will turn our attention now to MySQL. I need to set up port forwarding on port 3306. Open up the settings in the TechBox virtual machine. Navigate to Network Advanced Settings and click on the Port Forwarding button. Add a new rule called MySQL with the host port of 9306 and forward to guest port 3306. Now, reboot the virtual machine to apply this change. After the reboot, I will add some configuration changes to support character encoding and slow query logging. On the command line, type in ls space -la space /etc/mysql. The MySQL default configuration file is read through several symbolic links, beginning with /etc/mysql/my.cnf. Now I'll go over to my terminal on the host machine and log in to the server with the command ssh space techbox.dev. And here I will edit my SQL Server configuration file. So type in sudo edit space /etc/mysql/mysqld/mysqld.cnf. To set the default to UTF-8, we will add the following to myconf. Ctrl-W to search for skip. Under the line skip-external-locking, type in collation-server equals UTF-8_Unicode_CI. Next line, type character-set-server equals UTF-8. Now a few lines below, change the bind address to 0.0.0.0. Press Ctrl-W again to search for slow. To enable slow query logging, add the lines slow_query_log is equal to 1. New line, slow_query_log_file is equal to /var/log/mysql/mysql-slow.log. And remove the hash symbol in front of log_query_time is equal to 2. Finally, check key buffer size is set to 16 M. Now Ctrl-X to exit, press Y to save, and then press Enter. Now restart the MySQL service. Sudo space systemcontrol space restart space mysql.service. We will connect to MySQL database using user root and password root. So we will change permissions for the MySQL root user to allow connection for our user from anywhere. Note, you should never do this in a production environment. Type in mysql space -u root space -p root. When you see the MySQL square bracket prompt, you are connected to the MySQL service, and you can enter SQL commands here. Type show database. Now type select all from mysql.user table, where user is root. OK, I'll filter on columns host and user this time. Now type in the SQL command update space mysql.user space set space host is equal to open quote %, close quote space where space user is equal to root in inverted commas semicolon. Before I exit, I need to flush privileges to effect our root user change. Type exit to end the database session and bring you back to the terminal. Now I'm going to use an application called Mysql Workbench to test that I can log in as the root user remotely from the host machine. Click the plus to create a new MySQL connection. For the connection name, use techbox. For the hostname, specify techbox.dev. And for the port, enter 9306. For password, click on Storing the key change to add our password, which is just root, and click OK. Then to check if it works, click on Test Connection. You should see this message to say that you have been successful, so good job. On the workbench, double-click on the new connection called TechBox. And you can check the server status from the management options on the left-hand side. And that's where we'll leave off today. We now have a LAMP stack which is configured for PHP and MySQL development. In the next video, I plan to install PHP-MyAdmin and XM4 for emails. If we have enough time, I'll also include a Genti dashboard for server management. I hope this was useful to you, and I'd be glad for your feedback. So thank you for watching.